Hello, friends, and welcome to Monday's edition of the Kings of Anglia podcast. Yes, it's raining outside. Yes, Town didn't win at the weekend, but boy, it kind of felt like a win, didn't it? Wow, fantastic stuff from Macauley Bonne. We're going to get onto that. Of course, I'm your host, Mark Heath. With me, three of the five Kings. Andy Hutch-Warren still in Scotland, a family wedding. I'm sure he enjoyed himself. But boys, probably not as much as you did on Saturday. You were paid to watch that on Saturday, you lucky, lucky boys. I'm going to come first of all to Roscoe, the phenom, the prodigy, the beard, the vanity, as we found out before we started rolling, insisting on pausing to do his hair. Rossi, last week you filmed now infamous footage of Mark Ashton going, yeah, at the end of the game, which got 80,000 views, and we were bigging it up. Really happy with ourselves, patting ourselves on the back. Little did we know that just a week later, that 80,000 views would be akin to a pebble on a beach in a sea of 2 million views for the Macauley Bonne goal. Behind the scenes, different angle we put out after the game on Saturday. Obviously, we'll talk about the goal in due course. That tweet now no longer exists. So like Lance Armstrong winning 7 Tour de France's, it never happened, but it did happen, Ross. And you got 2 million views. You must be very pleased with yourself. How are you?
R.I.P. That is what I have to say. Absolute madness. Not the band who has the hit song Baggy Trousers. But yeah, sad times that the video's gone. But 2 million people watched that video, which is just crazy.
More than 2 million.
More than 2 million. What country is that? What's top of your heads? Who's got 2 million people who live there? More than...
No idea, but certainly more than quite a few countries. It was retweeted by... God, in how many different languages I lost count. Unbelievable. Arabic, I even saw being used to tweet about it, which is fantastic. Spreading the Kings of Anglia brand across the world. We're already global, but now we are even more global. And in terms of global fame, it doesn't come bigger than Mike Bacon, the big porker, La Porcine. I can't think of any other nicknames for you, Mike, off the top of my head. We'll just call you Mr. Bacon. How are you, my friend? How's things?
Well, I'm not too bad, Heathy. Thank you very much for that little introduction again. Yeah, it's great to be on again. Well, that was an exciting Saturday. I've been put out this morning, so I thought I heard a Christmas record on my radio this morning on the Alexa, which has rather freaked me a little bit with it raining as it is and all the rest of it. But I think have anyone got an Alexa? My Alexa seems to do its own thing. You sort of talk to it, but it just plays it. So it's a bit like the wife. It sort of does what it wants. And so I came to the kitchen and Do They Know It's Christmas was playing, which shocked me. Yes, I know. I don't know where it came from. I'm sure it wasn't. Are you
sure that's not Tracy? That strikes me as something.
Well, she's not. She's not here. So she's not. She wasn't here this morning. So I don't know what's happened. So I've obviously said something out loud. I've sworn probably out loud. And it's probably thought, well, I'll play you a Christmas record if that's what you asked for, which I didn't. Yeah. So that confused me slightly. But apart from that, Heath, no, I'm very good, thank you. Not too bad at all. And yes, I enjoyed the 2 million. I don't often praise Ross for anything, as you know. And I'm probably not really going to start now, to be honest. But it was, there you go. R.I.P. There you go.
R.I.P. It never happened. Stewie, what definitely happened on Saturday was that you were at Portman Road to watch the 1-1 draw with Sheffield Wednesday. First of all, my friend, you're wearing a shirt today, looking very smart for this podcast. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. We should probably point out is normally we talk about shady Archant figures on this podcast. It's shady EFL figures, shady broadcast figures that have meant that Ross's fine work is no longer available. I'm fine, thank you. Yeah, not too bad. It was good Saturday. I wouldn't go as good as your intro, but it was okay.
Frequently, I overhype things, Stu, as we know. So I'll rein that in a little bit. Why are you wearing a shirt, mate? You're not actually. I mean, you are technically at work, but you are at home.
The truth is, everything else is in the washing/ironing basket.
Okay,
so
fair play. I appreciate the look. Now then, boys. As we say, 1-1 at the weekend. It looked like it was going to be 1-0 to the Owls, and it was going to be another home defeat for Town. Another kind of nail early in the season in terms of bad results, but it wasn't. It finished 1-1, and I said in the intro there, it kind of felt like a win in the end. And I know actually in game day, Rossi, our old friend David, actually kept referring to it as a win. He said that, I enjoyed the win, and then kept having to kind of correct himself because that's the way it felt, wasn't it? Coming away from the game, Stu, what did you make of it all?
I don't know if it did feel like a win to me. Felt like a draw. It was a draw.
I know it was a draw, Stewie. Come on.
This will forever be the game that's remembered for the Macauley Bonne piece of sneaky play at the end. It's been a while since football's seen a goal like that. I kind of remember the one that sticks in my mind is Dion Dublin and Shay Given from the 90s. And I was going to say to see a goal like that in person was great, but I don't think anyone in the press box actually saw it because it happened in the last minute. The goalkeeper plucks the ball out the air and heads go down collectively to start writing intros.
Yeah.
And then we all heard the crowd and looked up, and suddenly Bonne's kind of dancing around and keeper's flailing on the floor, ball goes in, and we're all going, what happened? I don't know. We're all sort of charging around trying to see what happened. And then finally we saw the replays. But yeah, I love that goal. That will forever stick in the memory. I think actually in some ways it's one of my favourite Ipswich Town goals, just because of the cheekiness of it and the execution as well, because there was still a lot of work to be done. Ipswich did not deserve to lose that game. No way at all. They could have actually won it at the end with Harper going through, probably, had to square it to Bonne. I'm not sure they would have deserved to win it either, if I'm honest. Had the better chances in this game, no doubt about it. I don't know if they were on the front foot for long enough periods to say that they would have been deserved winners. The second half was drifting a little bit for me. Didn't look like that goal was coming until Bonne's bit of quick thinking.
Should we talk about the Bonne goal? Because clearly that's the main incident, and we'll get on to talking about the game. Mickey, Stewie there references Dion Dublin goal from I think that was the late 90s, wasn't it? I go back, my friend, and I'm sure you probably do, to a goal in the 80s. I think it was about 87, 88, 89, something like that. Gary Crosby sneaking up behind Andy Dibble, who had the ball in his hand like this as he was about to kick it, and he headed it out of his hand and then scored. And it was allowed. Obviously, nowadays there would be a furore if that happened. That's what I think of when I see goals like that. What did you make of it? And also the question, which is kind of on everyone's lips, and you might be able to shed a bit more light on, is what the hell were his defenders doing? Why was no one telling him that Bonne was standing behind him?
Furore. I like that word. Good word. Good word.
I've got lots of words.
You've got lots of good words. I mean, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, what a. I do remember that the Andy Dibble incident. It was extraordinary. And as I say, as Stuart rightly said, my first reaction when the goalie got the ball was everybody's heads go down and start writing intros. And there's the big kerfuffle afterwards. What the defender? I have no idea, because he was actually behind him for quite a while, wasn't he? When I actually looked at when I heard about it, I thought he must have literally sneaked behind him and just touched. It was like he's behind you he's been about, must be 10 seconds at least. And although your defence runs away at that point or looks, I mean, I can't believe he hid behind him behind a tree so perfectly that every angle, no defender could see him.
Right in the blind spot, wasn't it?
Yeah, on the blind spot of every defender. It's bizarre. I mean, you've got to feel sorry for Peacock Farrell, because obviously he's going to. But I mean, he's quite right to ask. Did nobody else see it? I mean, he's behind. It's absolutely bizarre. It's brilliant from Bonne. I loved it. I love that bloke's passion for the club and his just sheer willingness. He's basically single-handedly doing it for Ipswich at the moment, up front particularly. But yeah, I mean, what would defence do? Somebody must have seen him. I can't believe nobody.
I love the crowd's involvement in it as well. It was like a collective goal. It was almost like they had an assist in that, because my favourite part is Macauley Bonne sort of puts his hand out behind him as if to say, shush, you're in on this. And they all oblige. I mean, for everybody in the crowd to kind of play their part in not giving the game away was brilliant. And he was like a stalking lion, wasn't he? Just sort of tiptoed and crept. And yeah, it was brilliant. I love it.
Yeah, that was particularly viewable in the video that now doesn't exist. You could actually see Bonne giving it the to the crowd, kind of quieting down as he, as you say, snuck up on his prey. Rossi, you filmed that video, which now doesn't exist. What did you think was going on? Because obviously, I think you start filming as Bonne kind of runs off the pitch, didn't you? And I guess you're thinking, well, it's come to nothing. And then you see him kind of start to snake behind the keeper. So what do you think? Are you thinking that something's on here?
Yeah, normally by that time I sometimes stop, I'll just film a bit of the attack, and in the 90th minute here, and I thought, I've got to still film, because just in case there's a moment and I can celebrate the capture the fans. And I just kept watching him going a bit closer and closer. I was like, surely the goalkeeper's going to look behind him in a minute, and I'm just like thinking, he's behind you, mate. Like the pantomime thing, he's behind you.
Yeah.
And I just thought, I'll keep recording. And I thought he's just going to boot upfield, and then that'll be it. But no, we know what happened afterwards. And then I thought, because actually Macauley did really well in terms of actually, because he had a chance to score himself, and then he had to control it and then pass it into Scott Fraser, and then he went on to Chaplin scoring. But yeah, that was fantastic. And as you said, the fans bit playing a part as well, because some fans could have been like going, ooh, but they're lucky they kept quiet. And as Stu said, you see Bonne with his hands there like, shh.
Yeah, I mean, if that's at Hillsborough, that doesn't happen, does it? Because the crowd go mental.
No.
Whereas it was the reverse at Portman Road. You're right to say.
Apparently, Dominic Iorfa was trying to tell him. I can't really see from the footage, but I think he was trying to tell him. It's a bit naive from the goalkeeper, to be honest, who apparently has made a couple of ricks in his previous 2 games as well. When you catch a cross like that in the 90th minute and you're 1-0 up away from home, normally you fall right to the floor, lay on top of it, kill another 30 seconds or so, run down the clock. So he'll be kicking himself.
I just don't know how he didn't know, because of course he collected a ball from Macauley after Macauley kept it on. So surely he would have met, but maybe he thought he ran back, but Macauley sort of like stopped for a second. And I hear Macauley has done that a lot in his career. And it's actually paid off this time. So there we go.
Yeah, he said that, didn't he, in his post-match thing, that he's tried it several times in his career. And normally the goalkeeper has a little glance or someone says something. But yeah, great stuff.
In the sport which I spend most of my time, other than professionally, obviously football, I spend most of my time with. But in my spare time and other things, I'm deep into fight sports, as we all know, boys. And there's a term, fight IQ, which we saw at the weekend. Alexander Usyk boxing rings around Big AJ. So is this an example of football IQ, Mike? Because not everyone would have even thought to do that.
Well, I mean, you'd have to say yes, wouldn't you? I mean, because you're absolutely spot on. There's lots of people who would not have thought to do that. I would suggest 95% of strikers would have thought to do that. It's a very few very few strikers who would have thought to do what Bonne did. I mean, look, obviously not seeing that live at the time and see it very quickly afterwards, then seeing the RIP video, then it's just extraordinary. And it's just extraordinary. It's just like, I thought I'd seen it all with Bryn Gunn, missed kick in the back. I thought that was the most bizarre goal thing I've ever seen at Portman Road. But this was...
Sorry, who?
Bryn Gunn?
Ryan.
Welsh now.
Bryn.
I think we have a contender here for Rossi's crown as worst pronunciation king of Kings of Anglia. We've had the Fajitis, De Barclay, and now we've got Bryn Gunn. And also...
Bryn Gunn. I always called him Bryn.
Did you?
Yeah, because I didn't want to call by his first name. But anyway, so that was, that was extraordinary. But I mean, this was, I don't know. I mean, you've just got a hand. I mean, I think it was more extraordinary because it's 90th minute as well. I mean, this could have happened in the 15th minute or 20th, but the fact it was the 90th, as Stewie said, any goalie he should have just fallen flat on the ball and sat there.
And the best thing about it is there's still loads of work to do. Bonne then has to keep the adrenaline must be absolutely pumping. That I've tried this dozens of times in my career. It's actually paid off. I've got the ball. And then he could have panicked. He could have just stabbed it into the goalkeeper, or, but to keep his feet, to keep his cool, to slow everything down, to pick out Fraser, who then had to be really cool himself and pick out another pass. And Chaplin still had to fire into the net. I mean, Cook sort of joked that he scuffed it and he would have never have forgiven him if it hadn't gone in. There's a lot to like about that goal. And, it could be a big point when we look back on it, that, they've gone to Lincoln, they've ground out that first win, and okay, they haven't backed it up with another win, but at least they didn't lose again. And that's the Mick McCarthy phrase, if you can't win it, make sure you don't lose it. And, they're not fully there yet. There's still a lot of work to be done, but the big thing for me from this game was that they looked solid again. They didn't give up many chances. They've conceded one goal, a worldie of a volley from outside the box, but other than that, Sheffield Wednesday didn't really threaten at all, really. Ipswich had the majority of the chances. So, yeah, I'm feeling reasonably positive that that's another step in the right direction for Ipswich.
Yeah, had they lost that game, it would have been different, wouldn't it? The whole feeling would have been different. As it is, they got a point. They played all right, and as you say, Stu, the big takeaway there is they're looking so much more solid than they were just a couple of weeks ago when they got absolutely destroyed by Bolton at home. things have really tightened up there. What did you make, Stu, the game of the whole? First of all, of the team. Kind of, I mean, obviously we didn't know that Lee Evans was going to be the one injured, and we certainly then wouldn't have expected Idris El Mazouni to step into the starting role. But he's come in and he's done a brilliant job, hasn't he?
Yeah, I thought he had a good game. It was certainly a surprise to see him in the team. I think John Nolan is back training now, whether he's just not deemed sort of fit enough to be going into games at the moment. You'd have looked at those central midfield options a week or so ago and thought Idris was right down there. But by all accounts, everyone I speak to says he's been really good in pre-season. He's been really good training with the first team. When Paul Cook said that he'd found a new role for Raheem Harper after the Lincoln game, I kind of took that with a pinch of salt. I didn't necessarily think that he'd been absolutely pigeonholed into a new number 10, having started the first 6-7 games in those deeper midfield roles, but it looks like that's the case. Idris has jumped ahead of him to play in one of those two holding roles. Raheem's come on as a number 10 again, and he did well. Idris, he was a bit like the Newport game, really. We've always known him sort of through under-23s football and cup games as being a sort of an attacking midfielder. We've seen him sort of play on the wing. We've seen him play just behind the striker. But in that Newport Carabao Cup game, he looked good with the play sort of ahead of him. He can pick a pass, and he likes to tackle as well. So I thought he did pretty well. He's probably one of their, if you were picking out 2 or 3 of their outfield players, I would say he'd be in there. He did well.
Mikey, what did you make of the performance in the game and players? I know in your ratings, I don't know if you use the same Kylie Minogue kind of imperceptible feeling scale that Hutchie does.
I did, yeah.
Yeah, you did, yeah. You were praising Matt Penny as well. Obviously Idris, I think you said had a good game. I can't remember the other one you gave an 8 to now off the top of my head. The goalie, that's it. Hladky.
You said it.
Yeah, I mean, that's worthy of note, isn't it? Because we were talking last time about who should start in goal. And we all had our own views, but Hladky got the start. And other than the goal that he conceded, which he had absolutely no chance with, I mean, that was a beautiful strike. No one would have got anywhere near that. He's done well. What else impressed you?
Well, look, first, before we get any further, I mean, the match ratings are an absolute nightmare to do. I mean, the Hutch man usually does that. Is the man who does the raise. It's the biggest one story of the week, guaranteed abuse online. You're going to guarantee yourself as soon as you put it out there. Was Bacon at the game? What match was he watching? So I don't mind doing Dutch war for Ducks back to me, but I don't just. Contrary to popular belief, we actually don't just sort of make them up before the game and then just add the words, and at the end, we don't sort of just change all numbers. But I thought Hladky what is it, Ross? Nothing. Right. I thought
Hladky.
There we go.
Thank you. I thought he played really well. I mean, apart from his first, we'll go back to the first minute later on in the broadcast, I'm sure, because that's to do with my corner. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. Apart from the first Rick with, I think it was Burgess in the first minute, they got in a bit of a pit. And I must confess, at the time, I'm thinking, oh my goodness. But after that, he did nothing wrong, really. He came out for corners. He was punching strong. He had a couple of long shots, saved hard into his chest. His distribution was decent. I mean, I thought he did really well. I thought Idris, I thought El Mazouni did really well as well. I mean, a bit of a surprise on the old on the team sheet. Let's be honest. I mean, all the stars they've signed, apparently, all the legend stars they've signed, they was the first one of the only youth players there. Who's got a starting lineup there in the starting lineup. I thought he did really well. And as Stu said, likes to tackle, good passing. I thought Matt Penny did well on the left as well. Another one who's coming for a little bit of flack. I mean, these players, they're still finding their feet, a lot of them with the setups and stuff. I thought Penny did well. I thought he was quite good down the leg. In fact, that's quite positive, really, because Coulson's good. Penny's good. That's got a couple of good things there. The only thing I slightly still struggle with is this formation, and I will keep going on about this 4-2-3-1, because I just find we've got so many attacking options, and yet we play one up front and we play people wide. So, well, I don't know how many. I just can't see how many of our defensive midfielders are going to score a lot of goals. I can't see Lee Evans score a lot of goals. I can't see Iwazuni score a lot of goals. I can't see Sam Morsey score a lot of goals. So it's got to come from these front four. And when you've got people very wide and you're putting crosses in, you've only got Bonne in there. That's why Bonne's doing everything at the moment.
There was a few occasions, wasn't there? I think in the first half where crosses flew across the 6-yard box that were begging out to be attacked. and there wasn't anyone there, especially when Bonne's the one that kind of runs the channel, and he was the one putting the cross in, and then you got nobody in the box to attack it. I do think sometimes in football it's a bit oversimplified that play more strikers, play 2 up front is always the first thing that people say, and then if you're not scoring, then play 3 up front and play 4 up front. It's not always that simple. Man City play with 1 up front. That doesn't affect their ability to score goals, does it? But I know what you're saying. When you got Piggott and Norwood and people like that. Selina, he was a bit quieter than he was at Lincoln, but they got him involved a bit more as a number 10. I mean, you hadn't seen the Lincoln game, had you, Mike? And you turned to me in the first half and said, still struggling to get that number 10 sort of really in the game. It was a bit like that, wasn't it?
Yeah. I think that in terms of play this number 10, if you're going to play a number 10, he really has to dominate. He should be on the ball so much. And I've seen enough home games now. I think Fraser's been in there. I think Chaplin's been in there. I think now Selina's been in there. And I've never felt one of them has completely dominated this match and pulled all the strings. So, I don't know. That's just where my 4-4-2 comes back, I suppose. But have a couple of people wide, but you can have one of those 2 in the middle of the park and one gets forward, one stays back, one gets forward, one stays. But don't have to both go forward at once or both stay at once. But as Stewie said, that Ipswich are looking at decent side. You can clearly tell the quality of the players. It's going to start coming, I think, hopefully tomorrow.
Yeah. Rossi, what did you make of it all from your pitch side position, where you certainly didn't do any filming of the game?
I agree with Mike there. We've got so many attacking options. I like 2 up front. I'm just old school like that. I'm not that old, but I just like 2 up front. And that's what I go with. And you got Joe Pickett and Macauley Bonne. I think they'll be perfect partners, as a front 2. But we'll ignore that because Paul Cook loves his 4-2-3-1 or whatever formation he uses. I agree once again with Matt Penny. I thought he had a fantastic game coming in for Coulson. Coulson has been fantastic down that left, and Matt Penny comes in against his former side. And I hear that Darren Moore did offer Matt Penny a contract, so I'm sure he just wanted a fresh start, and he's got a chance here, and he did really well. Tom Carroll I thought did all right as well. Once again in the transfer a couple of weeks ago, in the ratings, and he's once again just solid player, some tidy touches. Didn't do anything amazing, but he was just under the radar. Good performance from him, and just an all-round decent performance from everybody. As Stu said, I think Selina was a bit quieter on his homecoming. It wasn't the homecoming he probably wanted. I'm sure he wanted to get a goal or something, but
I'm sure adrenaline probably got him through that Lincoln game the previous week. He'd been waiting to play, and he's had no pre-season, as he's had COVID, he's had a heart problem, he's not trained for weeks. Maybe that was just, the adrenaline got him through the first one and was just a bit quieter there. It'd be interesting to see. I'm sure we'll get onto Doncaster at the end, whether, they feel we can go again a few days later against Doncaster. There's probably no need to risk him when you've got the options that you've got, would be my feeling, but we'll get onto that in a bit.
For those who weren't at the game, one of my big concerns going into it was Shadipo on the left-hand side, who obviously is one of Wednesday's best players. That's a side that Town have struggled at particularly.
No need to worry.
Don't need to worry. He took care of him, did he? He's
just solid. Typical Genoy again. Really, he doesn't, as we keep saying every week, he doesn't bomb forward. He's not creating overloads and overlaps. But that's probably not what Ipswich need at the moment. They just needed to settle down and get more solid. There was one gorgeous slide tackle in the first half that got a Portman Road roar that he came racing across. One of those slide tackles, not only do you time it right, but you hook your foot around and sort of win the ball as well. So, solid as always with JD.
Yeah, I mean, Cook called him the best 1v1 defender at the club, didn't he, last week, Stu, when you spoke to him pre-match, which is praise indeed for a man who's so long kind of toiled in the shadows at Town. Feels like he's maybe getting a bit of the limelight now, deservedly. I also, on the subject of beautiful bits of play, that the diagonal pass from Selina, I think it was to release Burns, was it? Was that what you called sumptuous, Stu? Because that was an unbelievable.
Yeah, it was a ground pass, wasn't it? Like a reverse pass, sort of looked one way and through the eye of the needle. So there's just little signs with Burson at the moment of that sort of class. But just need to get him up to speed and sort of being able to do that sort of more consistently over the 90 minutes. But that will come.
Yeah. Any other points from the game, boys? Anything? I mean, we've talked there about positives and negatives, really. Darren Moore said after the game there were more positives for Wednesday than there were for them, and they were fortunate to get a point. Mike, would you agree with that?
Well, I suppose, yeah. I mean, if you look at the point being gained in the manner it is, I suppose it's slightly fortunate. But look, what I like about Ipswich Town is that you can see the players they have signed are quality players. I spoke to Chaplin after the game, Connor Chaplin. He said this is a quality squad. This biggest quality squad I've ever been in, and that includes in my championship days. You cannot deny these players can play. Right, they are technically good footballers, and Morsey, I think, coming in, Sam, is going to make the team even stronger. I mean, Fraser can play, but Selena can play, Bonne, but Piggott, the defenders are looking okay. The whole thing is starting to come together slowly. My only concern is I don't think Paul Cook has any idea what his best team is. He's starting to get there, but he's still struggling with bits, and that's where we're still going to be a little bit more patient. But as regards the team and the players, I think there's some very good footballers in that squad. I mean, like Harper came on. Okay, it's 10-minute cameo or whatever it was, but suddenly just burst in. I mean, how many clubs are going to have substitutes like that they can bring on?
Yeah, I mean, look at last season and the bench. That would be the comparison for me now. Ipswich of the last couple of years that you would turn into the bench, and we might chuck Ollie Hawkins on in the hope, with the greatest respect, that he creates a bit of carnage, or Aaron Drynan, or whoever else was on the bench. Sorry, Mark.
How dare you?
I mean, Norwood wasn't even on the bench at the weekend, having played really well in the Cup against West Ham. That's where Ipswich are at the moment. Morsey still wasn't available. Carl Edwards still injured, and you still got those options to come off the bench. And the hope is that not only do Ipswich start to really sort of find their feet, find their chemistry, but that squad depth, I think, when the pitches get heavier, when the injuries start to come, when the games come thick and fast, as others sort of tire, Ipswich will sort of come on strong, and they'll be able to hit their straps as the season goes on. That's got to be the hope at the moment.
I think also, Stewie, if you notice Paul Cook's reaction when he came down to talk to the press afterwards, he was quite comfortable. He was in a good place. He wasn't frustrated, even though it was 1-1. I think the first thing he said was, "It's a good game, lads, wasn't it? That's a really good game of football. I'm pleased the way we played." He's almost slightly relaxed. I think he can start to see a few things. It's just not quite there yet. But I think in the grand scheme of things, you can see that upward
trajectory. Upward trajectory.
The green shoots. Are we allowed to use the phrase green shoots after the Evans statement of last season? But yeah, you can. I think in this context now, you can actually. They're not false positives that we're not grasping at straws when we're looking for these. I think Cook is right. You can start to see, and I'm not going overboard with this. I'm not saying that the corner's turned and we're on our way, because there's a lot of work to be done there still, and there is quite a lot of damage to be undone. I know there's still a long way to go, but Wigan and Sunderland won again, and if Ipswich Ipswich were targeting not only top 6, they were targeting top 2, and they've left themselves a lot of work to do, and they need to put together a real good run. So they need to start doing this now, sooner rather than later. But I'm cautiously optimistic that it's all going to start coming together.
Green shoots all over the bloody gaff. How was Cook after the game, Stewie? Because obviously he's been up and down for various reasons over the last few weeks.
Relaxed, yeah. As Mike said, obviously, he'd gone through an emotional roller coaster on and off the pitch over the last couple of weeks, with his father dying, with the Bolton game. He understandably looked like he'd gone through the ringer after that one, with the 5 goals conceded, and then the West Ham Cup game. But yeah, looked. He's had his father's funeral now. I'm sure he's had a bit of closure with that off the pitch, and then probably a sense of things starting to turn on the pitch as well. So as Mike said, he said, normally sometimes you come out as a manager, you say certain things, but your body language probably betrays the words that you're saying. Genuinely, to this time, he said, I'm comfortable and happy with what we've seen. Like, he knows that there's things that they need to improve on, but I think he feels that what he wants is starting to show. Now, as I say, the big thing for me is they didn't look like conceit. They're not wide open. They haven't been wide open in the last couple of days. To go from that Bolton game to then Lincoln and Sheffield Wednesday, a clean sheet, and then really giving up very few chances was good for me. And we know there's goals in this team. They could have scored more goals in this game. I don't think they were massively fluid throughout the 90 minutes going forwards, but Bonne has a really big chance one-on-one in the third minute, which could have completely changed the tone. Just hit it. I think it was one of those where he's probably got a bit too much time to think about it. He had a couple of chances in the second half as well. I mentioned various crosses that flew through the box. So I don't think anyone's got any concerns about this Ipswich side having goals in it. The fear was that they were too open, and they've answered a few questions on that now.
Just by way of dotting the I's and crossing the T's, Mike, obviously Town did score another goal, but it was disallowed. Fair enough.
Yeah, nice move as well. Nice move. That's they talk about guess I'm getting in the 6-yard box. Burns was in there like a rat up a drain pipe, but that's not even the right phrase. But anyway, no. I mean, the beauty of that was what a lovely move. But that's what you want to see, rather than poor Macauley Bonne always there. We're aiming at, and great to see Burns getting in there. Nice move. Yeah, he was offside.
I'll tell you what, before we move on, Scott Fraser's a bit of an enigma, isn't he? We talked a lot about him being sort of a square peg in a round hole out wide in those early games, but he's growing on me in that wide position. Okay, he's not... I don't think he's ever going to be one that fans absolutely love because he's not got that dynamism, he's not got that pace, he's not got that energy, but I tell you what, he's a classy player, and he looks like he can find an assist out of nowhere with a moment of quality. And I think he's one that a lot of people, when we were talking in the press box about who comes off next, Fraser was a name that we all kind of spoke about. And I think a lot of people in the ground would have said, he needs to come off. But Cook said, I stuck with him because I just think he's got a moment in him. And of course, he's the guy that comes up trumps and has that assist at the end. And is there any other player on the pitch that holds their nerve and picks out Connor Chaplin the way he did? And you mentioned that Burns offside goal. That was his cross that went into the box that Bonne flicked on. Going back to the Lincoln game the previous weekend, he had some lovely crosses through the box as well. So he's got some assists in him, Fraser. I think I like him. He's a classy player.
Just by way of edutainment, boys, which is what we're all about, of course, might use the term rat up a drain pipe, which of course means a rat climbing a drain pipe. It is possible they do that. Just been researching while you boys have been talking there. Due to flexible vertebrae and rib cages, rats are able to squeeze into tight spaces and even round the U-bend of a toilet. So don't.
A friend of mine had a rat in their loft. So
really?
It must have got I assume it was one. It could have been two. I don't know, but it must have got up there through the drain pipe, mustn't it? It got up. It didn't climb up the wall, did it?
Don't have nightmares, boys. When you're having your daily constitutional, that the rat could well just appear. Hello. By way of drawing a line under the game and that entertaining aside, shall we reflect on our rank failure in £1 million picks and Mike's kind of, I suppose, trifling for you, Mike, loss of 5k personal. My bet was Town score first and 1-1 at half time. Obviously, that didn't come off. So 5k down the toilet there, straight into the mouth of a rat, perhaps. Rossi, what was your bet? I can't remember.
Macauley Bonne to score any time and a 2-1 win. So I was close.
Close.
Yeah.
Stewie, yours was similar, wasn't it?
Mine was, I think it had to be a draw at half time and Ipswich to win. So sorry, Andy, that's gone.
So that's 15k down the old Warren tubes there. Mike, you weren't technically included in the fictional money because you took 5k personal out. Good job no one encountered you on the way to Portman Road because you must have been weighed down with that cash. But it's all gone, mate.
Yes, well, obviously it has all gone, and it went in bizarre circumstances. If you don't mind, if you remember my 5k, which I wasn't included in because Andy Hutch wouldn't leave me the money because he couldn't trust me and said I got enough anyway. So I went to the bank and got my own money out, and yes, I got evens actually. Not I thought I might get 2-1, but I got evens on the first corner for Town was what I put it on. But bizarrely, I can only assume someone's heard what I was going to do because. And they must have come from the Sheffield Wednesday end. That's all I could assume because the bizarre circumstance of the first corner was to Sheffield Wednesday. And when Burgess headed behind, what's his name? Haladny for a Sheffield Wednesday.
We've got an N in there now. Excellent.
20 seconds in. I mean, it was as though somebody said, you watch me stitch that idiot up. We'll have a Sheffield Wednesday corner in the first 30 seconds. My bet could not have gone on any shorter a period of time if I'd said they kick off with a header or something. I mean, bizarre. So not very happy, to be honest. Something. There's been some skullduggery here.
Just like to add in there for a legal point of view, allegedly.
Allegedly skullduggery.
Yeah.
Yes, I mean, I have no idea what happened there.
We're already in trouble with the EFL for Ross's filming. Let's not bring any more unwanted.
Let's not get accusations of spot match fixing on town.
Well, I'm not saying. I don't think it was, to be fair, because I mean, it did look. To be fair, Burgess and Halagdi did look completely not knowing what each other were doing. So I'll accept it as it was. Don't get me wrong. I'm not suggesting anything, but just bizarre. My bet was gone in 20 seconds.
Up in smoke, 5k down the toilet.
5k, just like that.
But easy come, easy go, isn't it, Mike? I mean, I guess now you probably console yourself with another sports car, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, probably will get another one.
Maybe more property in Spain. Who knows? Boys, let's have an aside, shall we? Just to pause, first of all, to remind you that we are brought to you in association with manscaped.com. Use the code KOA at manscaped.com for 20% off and free delivery on all their excellent products. And also, obviously, get your tickets. If you haven't already, you've not seen it yet, Never Lost at Home at the new Wolsey Theatre, the story of Town's remarkable run to UEFA Cup back in 1981. Tickets available now, £10. I think they start out on the new Wolsey website. In terms of entertainment, Stu, normally we'd have a little game. Well, in the history of this pod, we have had little games. The strike now residing over on KOA Fan Social. Mark's big question, who knows when that will come back? But today, Stu, you have cooked up a little aside for us. We're calling it Stu's Little Game. I don't know if it's got a theme tune. I don't know what it's about, but I'm excited to find out. So over to you, my friend.
Has it got it hasn't got a theme. Shall I invent one straight away on the top?
Just freestyle.
Okay, freestyle it. Okay. Middle names. What's in a middle name? Middle names.
There we go. So Stu's little game. What's in a middle name? Rhymes, works. What's the game?
The game is I'm going to read out some Ipswich Town players' middle names. I'll give you a couple of options. You've just got to say, you've got to pick an option, A or B. Simple as that.
Simple, yeah.
Good game.
It's a good game. I stumbled across some interesting ones recently, so that was the idea behind that. I'm going to start off with a klaxon. When you hear the klaxon, that's a KOA special because it means the middle name is either going to be Mark, Stuart, Ross, Mike, or Andrew.
Nice.
Andy, okay?
Yeah.
Let's start with one of those. KOA special, Scott Fraser. What are you going for?
What we've got to guess
what's his
middle
middle name?
Okay.
It's one of our names, but which one is it?
Scott. Now, obviously, he's Scottish, so I
Can I jump in if I know it?
Well, do you know?
I don't know it. I don't know. I just want to say.
Don't spoil it if you know it.
Is it a rush? I don't know it. I'm just gonna.
I mean that's the key. We need to consider the methodology here. How's this going to be marshalled, Stu? Is it just first to say? Or
if you've got a pen and paper, maybe that would be the best way. This is great audio.
Ross is leaving. I've got a pen and paper. I'm a professional.
Right. Good.
I've got Saturday's team sheet. Can I make a note on that?
Oh, I've got that as well.
Of course you can, yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
I've got my answer ready.
Scott Fraser.
Yeah.
Reveal your answers.
Can you see that?
So Mark says Andrew. Ross says Stu. Mike says Andrew.
I've got Gog up there because I've got to do Garnet on golf in a minute after this. I'll put Andrew.
Okay, Ross. It's a point to you, my friend. It's Scott Stuart Fraser, spelled S-T-E-W, the incorrect way, the Scottish way.
Fair play.
Point to Ross. Good. Okay. Rakeem Harper. Is it Rakeem? Yeah. Is it Rakeem Shaquille Harper?
Nice.
Or is it Rakeem Jordan Harper?
Oh.
See what I've done there?
I know this already because we used this once upon a time.
I'm ready.
Me too. I can't spell the first option anyway.
Oh, we've all gone for Jordan. You've all got a point. Well done.
Yes. Score.
Well done. Okay, George Edmondson is next up for you. Is George Edmondson's middle name Sam or George?
What?
George.
Wow.
Well, I think that's a trick one.
Well,
Yeah, I
that's
think
what
so. See, famously, Gary Neville and Phil Neville's father is called Neville, so it's not that unusual. What are we going for? We got a George, we got a Sam, we got a George. The correct answer, my friends, is George.
Is George Edmondson.
I'll tell you why. I need to delve further into this, but his actual first name, it looks like, is Samuel. His full name is Samuel George Allen Edmondson. So it looks like he goes by his middle name as his first name. So we need to find out a little bit more about that one.
It's a good game, this, Stu. It's a good game.
Liking it?
Yeah, you could do a drinking game with this, couldn't you? Every time you write, you got to neck it.
I mean, it's 11:30 in the morning. It's early doors.
I'm on the rosé.
Yeah, on the rosé. I mean,
Ross is on the rosé.
Obviously, the rule is it's 5 p.m. somewhere in the world at any time, isn't it? So technically, you're okay. How many rounds have we got of this?
Just till we get bored, really. Well, keeping your own points. I'll do 2 or 3 more.
So I think we're all tied at 2 at the moment, aren't we?
I've got no idea.
Yeah,
I've got 2 as well. Yeah, I got the last one.
I'm going to rely on your own honesty here, okay?
Yeah.
James Norwood. Is it James May Norwood, James Hammond Norwood, or James Clarkson Norwood?
Very good. Very good. I see what you've done there.
Thank you.
So May, Hammond, or Clarkson?
Correct. Yeah. One of those is James Norwood's middle name.
That's the most unexpected middle name for James Norwood.
This is all according to Wikipedia, which we all know is absolutely correct. Can never be questioned.
Shall we reveal?
May. Yeah, we've got May from Mike there. We've got Hammond from Mark.
Go Clarkson.
Read that.
And May as well. The answer is Hammond.
Yes! Come on!
Wow!
Hammond. James Hammond Norwood.
Hammond Norwood. Well, would have thought it.
That implies some kind of posh background for Norwood. I mean, we know he's a lord, don't we? Technically a lord.
A laird.
A laird. And his middle name's Hammond. Good lord.
We'll go with the manager next. Paul Cook. Is it Paul Anthony Cook or Paul Joshua Cook? Topical.
Very good.
I don't know how to spell it.
Doesn't matter.
I don't know how to spell it either.
We've got an Anthony, and an Anthony. You are all correct. Paul Anthony Cook.
This is an easy game as well.
Wow! Oh, what's that noise? It's a KOA name special round here. Hayden Coulson. He has one of your names as his middle name. But what
Excellent.
is it?
Oh, this is brilliant. I'll tell you what, I could play this all day.
Why don't we just play it all day then and not do any work?
Yeah.
Because I think that will lead to us losing our employment and therefore being paid to do this nonsense.
Of course.
I'm going with this one. It's the best of names.
We got Mark. Mark's gone for Mark. Ross has gone for Ross. Excellent. Oh, Mike, Mike's gone for Mark as well. I'm afraid the answer is Ross.
Oh,
it's Ross. So Ross backed himself correctly.
Yeah. Well done, Ross. Did you know that, Ross?
No, I just thought. I did Stu last time. I'll do me next time. So I'll do one of you next time.
Have we had enough? Do you want these to roll over to another week?
We need one more because it's 5-5-4. So we need a winner.
Okay. Well, let's go for Joe Piggott, or Joseph to give him his full Christian name. Joseph Piggott is his middle name. Joseph Wozencroft Piggott.
What?
Joseph Godwolf Piggott.
What?
I know.
One of those is correct.
I know this.
Wozencroft or Godwolf.
Those aren't even real names. What the hell? Sounds like something out of Lord of the Rings. I'm going with it again.
We've got a Godwolf, and a Wozencroft. And Ross knows his onions. It's Wozencroft. Wozencroft. A quick Google said that that's some kind of Anglo-Saxon origins. I then found an Anglo-Saxon name creator website which gave me Godwolf as an alternative. Joseph David Wozencroft Piggott to give him his full name.
You are a professional. That is remarkable, and we need to find out more about this. I said that it made Norwood sound posh, but Joe Wozencroft Piggott.
Wow.
Goodness me! And we've all learnt something here today. It's edutainment to the max, is what we're all
I've got
about.
a few more of those. Maybe we could roll over to another week.
100%. Stu. I enjoyed that. Do you want to do a little theme tune as an outro, Stu?
Yep. Middle names. What's in a middle name? Middle names.
Name. There we go. I hope you enjoyed that first edition of Stu's little game, What's in a Middle Name? Soon to return to this very platform. Boys, someone who's returning to Portman Road tomorrow, Doncaster Rovers, bottom of the table, Doncaster Rovers. Under the lights, they've just been all the way to Plymouth and lost. And now they're coming to Portman Road. So they're going to be tired. They're going to be miserable. They're bottom of the table. They've lost at Plymouth. All that travelling they've been doing. Surely now, boys, Ipswich Town are going to put someone to the sword, aren't they? Stu, you said 3-0 Town in your prediction for this game tomorrow. How are we feeling? What are we doing with the team? Obviously, the main talking point going into the game is it's the first time that Sam Morsy can play in a league game. Your thoughts, please, Stuart Watson.
I would imagine Sam Morsy goes straight in. It sounds like Paul Cook sort of said if Idris was going to get his chance with Sam Morsy soon to come into contention, this had to be the game. As well as he played, I don't think it will be enough for Paul Cook to keep his captain in waiting any longer, basically. So I imagine Morsy will go straight in. The good news is he said that Carl Edwards comes into contention. So if he wants to freshen things up at the front end, whether he's ready to go straight back in as a starter, and we don't know the nature of that injury, adds a bit of firepower up front. So I think an Ipswich Town squad that might have 2 or 3 players freshened up under the lights at Portman Road. As you say, Doncaster have just had a long trip back from Plymouth, bottom of the table. Ipswich need to win this game. They've got to win this game, really, haven't they? And I think they will win this game.
Excellent. I like it. Mike, who are you pairing with Morsy? We've had an audition process over the last 3 games to see who can be his partner in those deep midfield roles. He's definitely going to start tomorrow, you'd imagine. Who would you start alongside him?
Now, you see, it depends. Evans, we don't know about Evans. We assume if he's got a hamstring, not likely to suddenly recover from that in a couple of days. So I will assume Evans is not there. Do you know what? I was so impressed with El Mazzuni. He's a young lad, right? He's all this bollocks about you can't play 2 games in 3 days. I bet you can. And I was really impressed with him. I thought he brought a bit of, he was fresh, he was energetic, and he'll allow Morsy just to sit and just dictate. And I think he'll obviously spark off an experienced player like Morsy. I thought Carroll did well. Don't get me wrong. And I'm not, if you ask me who would I put, okay, I'd play El Mazzuni again. I thought he did well, and if he's fit and strong and feeling good and wants to go again, and after Tuesday you might think Evans might be back for Saturday. I don't know, but for this match right here, right now, I don't quite know what he's done wrong to not be picked, to be honest. That's how I'd go with him.
Fair enough. I mean, when we started this chat 3 games ago, when we knew that Morsy couldn't play for 3 games, if anyone had said Idris El Mazzuni will be the starter alongside Morsy in his first league game, I think we'd all have gone, what? But now, potentially, that is what could happen. Roscoe, what would you do with Morsy in midfield? And is there anywhere else you'd look to make changes in the side? Obviously, Edwards, if he's fit, I assume, comes back in.
Bring Cameron Humphreys through, the other young lad. No, but it was good to see. His nickname is Idris. So if you can't say Idris, so you just go Iddy. I'm a bit on the fence with this. I think I'd like to see Iddy start, but I think Tom Carroll has been fantastic the last few weeks. I'm very much, I don't know really. Do I want to use the homegrown player, or do I bring Tom Carroll in because he's been fantastic? So I'm not going to decide.
No, decide now. Give me an answer. Who are you putting in now?
All of them. Idris, why not? Let's let Idris play again. Yeah.
Excellent. Good decision making.
Carroll for me. I like him. I think he's got a bit of pedigree. He's understated, but I think him and Morsy have got the makings of a good partnership.
And what else are you doing, Stu? Freshening things up elsewhere.
I think back five's got to stay the same. Wouldn't be messing about with that at all, even if Walton is available now. I know we had this goalkeeper debate going into this one and leaned towards sort of Walton if he's your number one, but Halaki was so assured. He's had 2 really assured games now. I think that would be super harsh to take that away from him now after those 2 appearances. So same back 5, as I said, Carroll and Morsey. Then you might just want to just try. I don't think Selina will start again, if I'm honest. Chaplin off the high of scoring a goal, maybe that's the door opens for him. And then where you play him, whether you play him as the 10 and keep Fraser left or put Fraser inside and move Chaplin out to the left, I don't know. But I think maybe Chaplin for Selina would be an option.
And there's no question, of course, that Bonne starts up front. It's tough to remember in recent times a player that's made themselves so important to a side so quickly, isn't it? Because not only is he scoring goals, and even on Saturday when he didn't score goals, it was his kind of play that led to the equaliser. He's come in and become almost indispensable already, hasn't he, Mike?
Yeah, I mean, of course he has, and that's to his credit. You know, we've said this before on this podcast, and you know, he's made the shirt his own. But I would just like to see him. We can't keep relying on Macauley Bonne. You know, this is my only slight, thing. Yeah, I'd just like to see some more people bombing into that box, giving him a hand. Because as Stu rightly said, he runs the channels as well. He doesn't just stay up front and wait for the ball to come in the box. He'll run the channels. But if he's running the channels, who's on the penalty spot when a cross comes in? And that's where.
I think Chaplin's a kind of more of a striker, and I think he's someone who has played up front. So I think his instinct is to get in the box rather than sort of drop back and link play with midfield. So it might help sort of change that dynamic possibly. I think the other one is Burns as well. Sorry, Mike, carry on.
Well, I was going to say, I think you're right with Chaplin. I think Chaplin's probably got the best potential for number 10 out of everybody we've seen, because his instinct on Saturday was get straight in that box when he saw what happened to Bonne. I know he'd only just come on the pitch, but that was his immediate reaction, was to sprint into that box. I think he could. I think Stu's right. If Selina doesn't start, I'd start Chaplin anyway.
Okay.
Burns as well has got this nagging Achilles problem. Is he another one that can go again on a Tuesday night? Is he in the red zone, as the sports scientists would say? He was okay on Saturday. He works hard, wasn't he? His end product isn't always consistent. You've got these attacking options. I think I would be inclined to maybe even freshen up another one of those. You could even try, when we're talking about the number 10, you could even give Raheem Harper a start as the number 10, and you could play Chaplin wide right, which he finished at the weekend. So there's options there.
I like that, Stu. I like that option. The dream, running things at number 10. Why not? Prediction time then, boys. Ipswich Town unbeaten now in 2 games. Let's not forget that. Unbeaten in 2. Are they going to get the first home league win of the season tomorrow? I'm going to start with you, Stu, because you've already predicted before this weekend. You predicted 3-0. Are you sticking with that one?
Yeah, why not? I'll stick with that. I just felt that I went for a 1. I know in my bets for Andy, I failed, but in my actual real prediction, I went with a 1-1. That came correct, and I had this down as a 3-0. It just feels like to me this could be a lift-off moment. We've talked about things slowly starting to come together. Yeah, I'll stick with that. I'm feeling pretty confident. 3-0. Someone's
going to get a tonking from this Town time in short order. Is it going to be tomorrow, Mike? Stewie says 3-0. What are you saying?
Yes, I think Town will win. I don't think they might not get 3. I'm going for 2-0. And of course, their nickname is Donny, which of course is after Donny Osmond, who used to sing with back in the day. If you, of course, I remember the Osmonds, but you probably don't. Crazy Horses, if you YouTube it, is one of the greatest rock anthems of the 70s. Crazy Horses by the Osmonds, which of course included Donny Osmond, and of course Doncaster are called Donny.
Is that why it is? Is that right?
Yeah, they nicknamed after Donny Osmond. Of course, they didn't. Anyway,
the club didn't exist until the Osmonds. Is that
exactly? Donny Osmond created Doncaster. Anyway, yeah, 2-0. I'll go for. I think 2-0, and I think Chaplin might get another.
Excellent. I'd just like to reflect on what we've just listened to in the last minute or so, and what Mike Bacon, the Big Porker, brings to this pod, and why we always get #MoreBacon when he's not here. He's taken a very simple question there about the score of Ipswich Town Doncaster and brought the Osmonds into it and Crazy Horses. Fantastic. What else do you need? Rossi, we're saying there's 2 wins there. Are you saying 3 wins? What are we saying?
I am, but I'm not getting too carried away. We're still in the bottom 4. Just saying, we're still 21st. Fact there. And of course, Doncaster bottom. So it's a battle of the bottom teams. Tuesday night under lights at Portman Roads. But I am going to go for a win. And I think it needs to be a statement win. So I'm not going to go for a 4-0 win, but I'm just going to go for a nice 2-1 win. We're going to be, 2-0 up, and then Doncaster just score a consolation goal. So no clean sheet for the Vaz.
Okay, so we've got 3-0, 2-0, 2-1. Donny Osmond, crazy horses. I'm saying 2-0 as well. So we're all predicting a victory for Town under the lights against Doncaster. Boys, any other notes before we take our leave and get on with our day? Not, as Mike suggests, do nothing for the rest of the day.
Well, just how disappointed the Ryder Cup was, if you don't mind me saying. That's nothing to do with football, but I'm very disappointed with the Ryder Cup result. I don't know if you're obviously to lose so heavily as we did.
That was always going to happen.
Well, I think it probably was, but I play a bit of golf. It's 1 or 2 putts that I'd have sunk. I really can't get my head around it, to be honest. But anyway, apart from that, no. I'm just looking forward to Ipswich Town's first home win of the season.
Oh, there's
tomorrow.
an idea. Sometimes we come up with ways that you could improve sports to make them more exciting. How about in the Ryder Cup, you have to give at least one wild card pick to just a complete amateur? Both teams.
Absolutely.
They just pluck someone like Mike Bacon, and he's just suddenly part of the
squad.
Then we'd see. My wife had one of the best ideas for improving golf. I love golf, don't get me wrong, and the Ryder Cup for me is one of the best team competitions in sport. But the wife hates golf, among her many sports that she hates and hates me watching. Her idea was to basically turn golf into the Serengeti and release wild lions and tigers and stuff onto the course. add some peril. Obviously in Florida, some courses in Florida, you do actually have crocodiles and alligators, but why not? Let's go a step further. See if we can actually see a player eaten live on TV. I'd pay for that pay-per-view all day long. Any other business, Rossi?
No, that is it for us, I think. End it here.
What's this? We weren't expecting this. I wasn't expecting this. It's the siren, which means this is a winner-takes-all scenario.
Oh,
wow.
You know what the sign... I don't need to explain it now. We know what the noise means. The name is Connor Chaplin. Shout your answers out now.
Mike.
Mark.
Are you Googling?
Don't overthink it, Ross.
I think I'm gonna go with Mike.
The answer is Mark. Who said Mark?
Me.
Mike.
You win today's podcast.
Hey! And quite right after that Donny Osmond aside. Mike takes home Mike takes home the bacon. See what I've done there, boys?
Yes, very good.
That was lame. I just want to give a shout out to someone who's running the London Marathon this weekend. One of the KOA Army, Chris Wade, East London Tractor Boy, is running the London Marathon this weekend for the charity, the Lullaby Trust, which raise awareness for cot death and fund research into the cause and help parents and bereaved siblings as well. He says, I'm running it in memory of my son Tyler, who passed away in 2012. He would have been 10 this year. I've done a lot of challenges over the years for this charity, including visiting all the Football League stadiums within 5 days, every Scottish League stadium in 4 days. I've done bungee jump, skydives, the Three Peaks Challenge, Stewie. We know how tough that is. He climbed a mountain in Tenerife, plenty of obstacle courses, half marathons, etc. But this is probably the biggest challenge I've ever done. So support a member of the KOA Army, please. Chris, East London Tractor Boy Wade, running the London Marathon this weekend. I think his handle is at ChrisWade88. But I'm sure you can find him on Twitter. He's fairly well known as Chris. So yeah, if you can support Chris this weekend, that's happening on Sunday. Town are playing Doncaster Rovers tomorrow night. All the boys will be there, so follow it with us. Mike, you're about to go off on rotation. Have you got any plans for your days off, Mike?
No, I was going to cut the grass, but it started raining, so that's going to put pay at that. But
how's your wall, by the way?
The wall. Well, I'm not being funny. He hasn't finished it yet, and I'm getting a little bit peed off, to be honest, because it's half. Half a wall is not funny, is it? It's halfway across, and I had someone sit on it the other day.
No,
just to walk past us to rest, and they sat on the wall, which it's only half built. But I came out and started cutting the grass in front of them, so they moved on.
Superb. There we go. Latest wall update there. I hope you enjoyed that. Leave us a 5-star review on iTunes, please, friends. It helps us greatly with the visibility in the iTunes charts. It helps us recruit more people to the ever-growing KOA Army, and also follow us on social media across Kings of Anglia at Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. I hope you've enjoyed today's pod. Doncaster at home tomorrow. We've learnt today rats can climb drain pipes and can emerge up the U-bend in your toilet. Do not have nightmares. And also, surprisingly, Doncaster, Donny, nickname comes from Donny Osmond. And also, even more surprisingly, Joe Piggott's middle name is Wozencroft. What a way to end things. Have a great start to the week. Enjoy the game tomorrow. And we'll speak to you again later on in the week.